This is ACDC, Araceli and Colette, the dynamic change. Hey, so today, my name is Araceli and I'm a transition wealth advisor. And we're going to have a very interesting show. The things that I do is I believe that every life transition doesn't have to be financially devastating. And I know that money is one of the things that stresses us out a lot. So I work mostly with single professional women to empower them to take charge of their financial life. And I do that through crafting a financial plan that fits their lifestyle and dreams. And I'm here with my partner, Colette, today. Can you introduce yourself, Colette?
Sure, of course. Hi, everybody. My name is Colette Rabba. I am a real estate broker in the GTA. I've been doing real estate for about 9 years now. And why Araceli and I like to do the show is because we like to talk to and answer questions from our clients, but also from you, the audience, about not just real estate and financial stuff, but also investing and how does it all come together? And that's why Araceli and I always like to talk to each other and get to answer your questions, because we get questions all the time about financing and about real estate. And today's show is about answering your questions. So what's our title today? What's our subject?
Well, a lot of people ask us, how is it to be a realtor or a financial advisor? And today we're going to discuss that those two professions are very, very similar. There's a lot of things that are kind of like the same things, the same challenges that we suffer. But the main thing is, why did you become an advisor? Why did you become a realtor, right?
And what's it like in the business? So I get those questions all the time.
So Colette, just answer the question. So why did you become a realtor?
Okay, wow. So that, even though like we love what I think I can speak for you too. We both love doing what we do. Yep. But also really why I got into the business, I've had many careers. I've done many different things too. Before I decided real estate was the thing for me to get into. There's a couple of reasons why. So I'll try and make it short. One of the reasons was because I bought and sold my own real estate, with other agents. And when I started looking for income properties, the agents that I was speaking to couldn't answer my questions. So, and then I frustrated one of those agents and she said, "Why don't you just get your license? You seem to know what you're talking about." And I said, "Okay." So I didn't realize, like, that's the thing. I didn't realize how easy it was to get your license. It's easy to get your license. It's hard to be in the business. So I think a lot of people can say the same thing. So really, I wanted to get into the business so I could answer people's questions and make them feel confident and know that it doesn't have to be, moving is one of the most stressful things that you can do in your life. And before you get to move, you have to buy a property or sell a property or both, or, even just a rental. So to advise people, and that's the thing that we both have in common, is that we advise people. So even though I'm my technical, what I do is called a salesperson, there's so much more than just sales. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
So yeah, in a nutshell, I wanted to help people and I wanted to guide them. And I think in this kind of an industry, like when you're spending the most money that you'll ever spend, or you have to invest in something, I think getting the right advisor is important. And I think that's for you too. But you tell me, what about you? What's your why?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I love being an entrepreneur and I avoided it for the longest time. I tell you, my dad is an entrepreneur. He's a mechanic back home. And I saw a lot of struggle with him. So what I did is I equated struggling with entrepreneurship. And it is not always the case. We do have struggles. And I think everybody has struggles, whether you work for yourself or for somebody else.
Of
But
course.
I avoided it because I said, no, I'd rather work for somebody to have security, right?
Right.
And there's no security anymore. Now everybody is on like probation, and they change and they restructure, whatever they want to call it now. But people are changing job, and that is statistically proven, between 5 to 7 years, whether you're
Wow.
downsized or you decide to move to another thing, or they just let you go. Whatever it is the case, at 5 to 7 years, everybody's changing. So the idea of having a job for 30 years and retire with that company is just long gone, right? But the main reason that I decided to become an advisor is because I went through a lot of life changes and life transitions in my life that impacted me tremendously financially. And you know what? At that time, I was working as an engineer. I was making good money, what is considered good money. And I didn't have like a huge expenses. Like I wasn't a spender that I just spend. In fact, I am a saver. And I always like to do that. And, my analytical mind, I always had sheets and everything. But no matter what I did, I still was in a bad shape financially. So every time that there was a transition in my life, and I said, well, what did I do wrong? What's going on? And that's why it kind of triggered me to say, well, maybe I don't understand money. And I didn't. I really didn't. Right. But the other thing that I know is that everything touches money, and we are
Right.
not aware of it. We just spend it. We just go here and there without that awareness of what is this, like, how much money do I have to, to make in order to be able to spend this money. And
Sure.
that is the one thing that for some reason, I think 90% of the population has a hard time with money. And that's it's kind of my mission now, to help everybody to understand where they are and what it's costing them to live, right?
Yeah. I heard just recently on the news too that they are going to start, I don't know if this is actually true or not, but they're going to start in high school now, teaching financial literacy. And I
They
think
should.
should have been done years and years ago. I didn't learn that in high school. I didn't even, there wasn't even like even the home ec or courses or things like
Mhm.
that. There was never any mention about finances and how to even balance your even
Absolutely.
took
You know what? You go to school to learn how to become something, a nurse, an
right.
engineer, but they don't tell after you have the money, what do you do with it,
What do you
right?
do with it? Well, even, I don't want to say who it was, but somebody asked me how do I write a check? How do I fill in the spots in a check? And I'm like, oh, I can't believe you're
Right?
asking me that. Yeah, because nobody writes checks anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you say, okay, like it just comes out of my bank account. It's just so easy. Like everything just flows.
Yeah.
I can go to the ATM and get money, and then I spend money, and I have to pay
Mhm.
I get my credit card statement. There's no physical money. You don't see it leaving your hands. You don't see it coming in.
Exactly.
So
And
even
it
though in
is.
theory I make whatever X number of dollars a year and I spend X number of dollars a year, we don't have a relationship with money.
Mhm. And that is
So
actually very difficult. And it is actually being proven that if you have money in your pocket, the physical money that we don't have anymore, and go to the store, you tend to spend less money than if you put it on the credit card. Because now you
right,
say, oh, well, I have $10,000 of limit. It's okay. It'll go through, right? But if
right.
it goes through, it doesn't matter if it goes through, you still have to repay that money,
Well,
right?
I think and budgeting every month is very, very important. And I don't think a lot of people do. Am I wrong by saying that? Where
That
you
is
say, okay,
correct.
and you know what? Like, I know people who actually, when we're chit chatting or whatever, friends, and I say, oh, I don't even say anything, but they say, oh, I just have to look at my budget. Give me 2 seconds. Today is the 5th or the 1st or something. I just have to make sure I minus that. So they have a spreadsheet that they actually physically go
Mhm.
in every month and they check it and make sure that they don't ever overspend. And they have a budget for entertaining. I think entertaining is the biggest thing
Mhm.
where we want to, especially now because we've been in our homes for so long, and then to, say, okay, well, I would really like to go to the movies. You have to budget that in, right?
Absolutely.
So, okay, I'm glad you answered that question. I had a question just
Mhm.
yesterday from someone who was asking me about, being in the real estate, having a real estate career. And they said, what was the hardest thing what do I find is the hardest thing about my business and what I do? So I want to ask you that question.
Well, I think that this is something very, very similar to you, but I think that having to look for clients and doing marketing is the hardest thing, because we are always constantly looking for the next client, right?
Yeah. And how to
So
market ourselves.
exactly. So all of these things, they take a lot of energy, a lot of our time. So I would say that 80% of the time that you are actually working is looking for a new client. And that is not the easiest thing to do. So if you are also thinking of becoming either a realtor or an advisor, you have to be aware of this.
Right.
Like, you have to constantly better yourself as an advisor or whatever you're doing. And also to constantly be in front of people, whether it's in social media, whether it's you pay advertising, you talk to your existing clients to get referrals. There is a lot of time and energy involved in getting a client. So
right. Yeah. So I have to agree with you. So my answer was also marketing myself, because this is a human trait. I think a lot of us being entrepreneurs, we have a hard time tooting our own horns, like talking about ourselves to say, and that's going to lead to my third question. And that, like, so I agree with you. I think the hardest thing about my business is marketing myself and my business and telling everybody about myself, and how do I do my marketing? And especially with real estate, it's one of those things where you see people on bus shelters and flyers coming to your door. And so my answer to this person about marketing and how do you market yourself, and it's across the board entrepreneurship. So it's not just being a realtor or being a financial advisor. So it's not just about who to market to, it's where to market. So do we do it online? Do we do bus shelters? Would you hire somebody? You have to ask those questions. So I said to him, you have to ask yourself the question of, if I want to spend that much money on the back of a bus or a bus shelter, me as a consumer, would I actually call that person if I saw your ad on the bus shelter? So to me, and I also, the way I answered it was, you see that person on the bus shelter, how many signs do you actually see on the lawn of that person? And every area, if I have, let's say if there's 3 houses on not my street, but whatever other street in my neighborhood, if I see a street in my neighborhood there's 3 houses for sale, each sign usually is a different realtor, a different company, and it's not the person that was on the bus shelter. That lawn sign is actually advertising as well. Why do they don't just say for sale, here's the phone number. They actually brand it with that person's name and their phone number and the brokerage name. So when it comes to advertising and marketing yourself, there are so many different ways these days to do it. And how do you do it? And what's the most effective? That's the biggest question every entrepreneur has too. And you have to find your audience. I think that's ultimately the answer. We have to advertise to the audience. Okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself, or the answer has been clear that both of us have the same issue with marketing, and this is obviously, we do this show too to tell everybody, look, we're in business. This is our business. We take it very seriously, and we're good at what we do. So the next question for you is, what sets you apart?
Okay, so this is, I've been in business now over 10 years as an advisor, and I have seen many, many different people. And when I started, I followed kind of like the rule that most advisors do. They ask you some questions. They tell you, okay, well, how much do you want to spend on this? Or I might be able to save you a little bit on your life insurance and maybe your investments. But the one thing that I learned very quickly is that people think that they have money. And I always ask for, what is the disposable income that we can work with? And I said, well, I have $500, I have $1,000. But in fact, it wasn't that. And the reason is because I didn't work with them on a budget. Doing the budget and the cash flow is so important because everything comes from there. And either they will tell me more money, that they have more money at the end of the month, or they have less money. But now, no matter what, I work with all my clients and start from there because it's an awareness. Oh my God, I didn't know that I was spending this much. And at the end of it, most of the time, they will not have the money that they say they would, right? And the thing is, it doesn't matter what I do. If you tell me that you're going to have $1,000 a month, I'm going to say, listen, why don't we save that money and invest it for the long run? But if you don't really truly have the $1,000, how quickly are you going to call me to tell me, no, I can't afford anymore, right? So the reason is because you have to be aware, and I always try to have as much money as possible to be invested. But if you don't have it, then it's just a double whammy. It doesn't do you any favors, right? And it doesn't do me any favors at all either. So that is the main thing that I spend a lot of time with my clients working on this, because I want them to be aware where they are, and I can see what their commitment is really. And those are my best clients. So that, I think, is one of the services that people are not spending time, because I don't get paid doing that. But the thing is, I know that if I do that for you, you will
Right.
become a client, and you'll become a client for life. And that is what I want. I want you to.
Okay,
always
I
come
want
back
to answer the question for you.
Yeah, okay, so tell
What
me.
sets you apart? And I was waiting. That's why I was so quiet. I'm like, I want to hear if you're going to say it. I want to hear if you're going to say it. So I think what sets you apart is you're very patient, number one, because finances is very stressful for
It's
a lot of
very, very
people.
stressful, yeah.
And number two, you make it really, really simple. And that's the thing that I think with people who are fearful to say, oh my gosh, I don't want to go into and dive into this, and I'm terrified because I know it's going to be bad, and it's going to be, this crazy amount of money that I have to, you're going, the expectation is you're going to ask me to do this and that, and to put money into my RSPs, and I have to invest in that. And I don't know if I want to do that right now. And I like to have a little bit of cash flow so I can go and, buy myself a little ice cream every month. I don't want you to take that away from me. So, you alleviate the fear. I think that's ultimately the thing that I think that sets you apart. That, when you meet with Araceli, she's very patient. She's very calm. It's actually a very nice process to feel comfortable with Araceli. So that's what I think makes you different.
Oh, thank you. And you know what? That is basically my idea when I am in front of the client, because I know my sheets, I know the process, but you don't know it. And I know, and I want to treat everybody as very, if you know it, then we can move on to the next thing. But if you don't, let's spend some time and work on it. And I think what you said, the stressfulness of doing the finances. I have a lot of clients that said to me, you know what, I should have done this a long time ago. It's not as bad as I thought it was. Right.
Of course.
And I never like to take away.
That should be your tagline. Right?
Yeah.
It's not as bad as you think.
It is, if
Chill
you
out.
become aware, it's like anything. If you want to change your food, your exercise, it's a little painful at the beginning because you have to, think deep on what you're doing. But at the same time, it's your desire to change. And I think that is the kind of clients that I'm looking for, that they want to get better, right?
Right.
So tell me, so what sets you apart?
So what sets me apart? Okay. Well, I think I got a really great testimonial from a client yesterday. Should I, well, I don't want to read it. It's way too long, but I think I really try and keep my clients informed. Like, this is the thing that I hear all the time. When I hear other agents talk, when I hear people tell me what their past experience with realtors are, they said they didn't tell me. I didn't know I had an option. I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know I could ask for that. I felt pressured. I felt like I really had to do whatever they told me to do. And I thought, like, oh my gosh, that's not true at all. Like, this is something that you can absolutely, you have X, Y, and Z options. So I think that's one thing I really tell my clients, you don't have to do that at all. You could do this, or you could do nothing. I just go through the options with them. I think I have a great sense of humor too. My clients,
Oh,
that
you
was
do, for
the
sure. You always make me
testimonial.
laugh.
Yeah, the testimonial that I got from that client yesterday, she said, you just made it so fun. Like it was just, we love you. It's, we miss you, so now that the deal is all done, they just purchased something. This is the thing that we have to remember, that we have a relationship with our clients, and the clients have a relationship with me. And even though the deal is done, I miss them. Like that's really hard. So go back to question number 2 about what's the hardest thing. One of the hardest things about my business is that I miss my clients too. And it's not like I'm not a salesy type person where I want to call and say, hi, you ready to move? That sort of thing, where people have this idea of what realtors are like, that it's not that at all. It's a very personal relationship that I have with my clients.
Absolutely.
And my best friend was a client. That's how I met her first, was she bought a house with me, and it's this wonderful relationship that, this is what I love. That should be our question number 4. What do you love about your business? And that's the answer for me, is that I love the people that I get to work with. They're my very, some of them turn into my very close friends. And I have another friend too that I'm very close with, who's also a mortgage broker that, we're very close to. And now we've worked a couple times together on deals. So this is the thing, that the industry, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to remember that too, that a lot of business turns into personal, and a lot of it gets intertwined. And you have to be sure that when you move forward in your businesses, that you can make that definition. And sometimes you don't have to. Sometimes, let's say if you came to me and said, hey, I want to sell my house, can you give me a deal? Like that's when the friendship kind of overlaps business. So, you have to be prepared as an entrepreneur to do that too, to have that answer. But I want to get into that now. So I want to know from you, the last question of what's the nicest thing about, what do you love about your business?
You know what? Meeting the people that I meet and making a difference for them, it gives me the greatest satisfaction there is, because a lot of people, they're very intimidated about going into their finances, and it's very, very personal. So when I make a change and I see how the light bulb goes on with them, and somebody told me, says, you changed my life completely, right? And I like those things, like sometimes, because I do this all the time, it's just so normal for me. But when you affect somebody else, it's just like the greatest feeling. So the people that I've met through this business is just so rewarding. But I want to go back to one thing that you said before I forget, is that you said, oh, I'm not salesy or anything like that, pushy.
Yeah.
Being a professional in sales is very, very difficult, right? Because you educate people, you show them their options, and they alone, they know if you're able to do that, you're a professional. And that is what sets people apart and professionals, because how many realtors are there? How many financial advisors are there?
Tons. Yeah.
So you have to find somebody that actually truly cares about you, giving you the options that you want. It's not the options that I want, because my financial life is completely different than yours. So I want to be giving you options to you.
Actually, it's really funny. Yeah. And this is the thing. It doesn't, I'm not for everybody, you're not for everybody.
With me, yeah.
I just remember I was at a networking meeting, and another realtor was talking, and I was shocked. She said, I'm not going to go to your kids' baseball games. I'm not going to invite you to dinner. I'm not going to, send you Christmas cards. And I went, oh my God.
Like, what are you going to do?
Oh my God, that's totally not what I would do. Like, I'm a totally different person. I wouldn't go to baseball games. I wouldn't go to birthday parties. I wouldn't invite you to my house. Like, this is the difference between, what kind of person do you want to deal with? If you don't want to be my friend, I'm not offended. That's totally fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
Use me for my knowledge and for my professionalism. And that's okay. Like, I'm not, it doesn't have, I don't have to be best friends with everybody,
Yeah.
but that's what happens when you do a very, like, we go into people's bedrooms, we go
Yeah.
into very intimate spaces with these people. I mean, I'm not, going and taking my clothes off or anything, but this is it's a very highly personal thing to say,
Yeah,
can you see
absolutely.
yourself living in this space? And can you see yourself raising a family? And can you, so for people to let me into
I
that part of
know.
their lives is it, I'm just, it gives me goosebumps to think that you trust me enough to bring me into your personal life. This is
Absolutely.
the business to me. This is what it means to me to be a realtor. I'm not going to come over and like, do your laundry, but it's like, but you're bringing me into this very personal time of your life to buy or sell a property. And that selling too is not, it's not just, okay, I'm not going to see what's going on in your life. I know what you have to pack. I have to go into somebody's house to say, hey, you got to take that, boudoir picture off the walls before you sell your house. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
So I might not be your best friend. I might give you some bad news about, hey, your floor is a little bit dirty. Can you clean it? So people do have to trust me. And same thing with finances. That's a highly personal
That
thing.
is very highly personal. And you
Yeah,
know
to
what?
trust
If people, they tell me everything, and I trust that
you.
so much because it is so important. The thing is, if you go to the doctor and don't tell them that you have a pain,
Yeah,
how are
like,
they
oh my
gonna
God,
know?
don't look at me. Yeah. It's obviously it's not the same thing. Like, you're not physically getting naked, but your
But
finances, you
it
have to
is.
be naked.
Yeah.
Yeah, with your finances. So to trust somebody like you, Araceli, like that's what I was trying to say. To have someone to be fearful of that. And that's the thing. It is very to strip down and say, here, this is who I am financially. Even with real estate too, they financially have to show me how much money they have or how
Absolutely.
much they
Right?
can afford. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's anyway, so I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think trust is a huge, huge thing in both our industries. And
Yeah.
to say that sets us apart, that
Mhm.
all your personal information goes no further than what we
Exactly.
need it
Yeah,
for.
that's super important.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
but just to finish this, remember, if you are considering to become a realtor or a financial advisor, talk to somebody that is in the business. That's something that I would do differently because when I got myself into it, it was with the notion, and probably people that are in the financial services industry would know that, but I didn't know that because I was coming from a different industry, so I didn't know.
Right.
And what I wanted to know is I wanted to learn.
Right.
But a lot of people, they will go and say, oh my God, you're going to make lots of money, lots of commissions, it's going to be easy. It is
What
not.
do you think people in real estate think? Okay, like, I'm gonna make a
And
make
that's
a
what
ten
there's so
thousand
many of
dollar
them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that easy. And you know what? So can I say something too, that
Yeah.
I complain about the industry sometimes because I see a lack of training. You go and you get your license and it's easy and you pass the courses and it's,
Yeah.
there you go. I have my license. Here you go. Now what? This is the problem. And I'm sure in other industries are the same way, where you go in and say, okay, well, now I'm by
Now what?
myself.
Yeah.
I have no support. I have nobody to talk to. And especially with realtors are very private because what we do is highly specialized and we build our knowledge on our own. And every day, and I remember the first year I was in business,
Hmm.
90% of my time was spent trying to find someone to teach me or somewhere
Hmm.
to teach me. I had to go to my brokerage and ask, I'm looking for a mentor. I want to talk to someone. I want to have someone. I'll pay for it. Who can I talk to? And they said, oh, you go to these, Brian Buffini is one.
Yeah.
There are all these big coaches. And I said, I don't want that. I want somebody who's real time working in the industry.
Yep.
I want someone I can trust. Who is that? Who can you recommend to me? And they said, there isn't such a thing.
Yeah.
So
And it's very, very the same in financial services
right.
industry. Some
But guess
companies,
what?
they lure you saying, oh, we have lots of training and stuff like that, but they really don't give you enough personal time for you to understand what you need to do. And there is a lot of little details, I mean, technical details on how to do paperwork, how to get the
Right.
client, how to do the analysis and so on, right? But
But
at the
guess
same
what?
time, yeah. But
Our industry too is highly regulated,
mhm,
like yours,
yeah,
but also there's a lot of legalities that we have to make sure our paperwork is right before it even goes to the lawyer. So all that stuff, like clauses, for example,
mhm,
clauses can be written 5 different ways. And then how it gets interpreted, if you have to go to court, how does it get interpreted and are you safe? So instead of me complaining about it, and this took me a long time. So I've been in the industry for 9 years now. I'm finally offering a mentorship program to new agents. And this is a brand new thing. I haven't advertised it yet. I haven't said it to anybody. This is
that
like
is fantastic.
the big thing. So if anybody's out there that is a new agent that would like to know more about the mentorship program, you can phone me. There's my phone.
Yeah,
Sorry, this way, my
yeah,
phone
no
number
way.
is right on the screen. Or even to, we put our links at the bottom of
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
each
You are
episode.
free to contact us, right? I think it is very important, as I was saying, like if you want to become an advisor, talk to people that are in the industry to tell
Call
you
Araceli too.
exactly what it takes, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what I would have done differently when I
Yes.
started, because
Right.
you go along the way and then you find this, bump, and then you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. But you can save so much more time by talking to somebody, by learning, what kind of companies are out there that would hire you and train you and help you. And
Right.
some of them, they kind of say they lure you to, oh, I'm going to do this for you, but
Yeah.
they really don't do it, right? So
Yeah, you're getting all of my 9 years and my life experience too in here. You
that
have
would
this
be an
this
awesome mentorship, because it's from the trenches. You're not
No,
copying
I'm not.
anybody,
No, I'm
right?
not a guy who said, "Oh, I'm going to make some residual income and do this coaching program." And I don't have anything, and I don't take a lot of. I've decided I can't take on. I'm too busy to take on so many new agents, but I will take a handful of agents and give them a year like it's a program.
Mhm.
So to have this program to them to say, you know what, I have 52 weeks of content.
Mhm.
And every week is going to be something new that you have to, as an entrepreneur, if you want to get into this business, it's going to fast track your career. So,
That
you
is
know,
amazing, Colette.
thank
So
you.
that's
Thank you.
awesome. For
Yeah,
sure.
it's a stretch.
Put the
Yeah.
link below and so they can contact you directly.
Yeah.
And eventually I'm going to get there, because I want to make sure that I have the right things for agents, all the things that I have learned so far as well, right?
Of course.
And I
Right.
know that I've gone and I looked at many different companies, and all of them have a little bit of good, but not all of it that you need. So
Right.
it's
Right.
important to know who you want to work with if you decide to make a change in careers. It's super important. Just talk to one of us or talk to some other agents, whether it's realtors or financial advisors, whatever way you want to go, and find out what is the best thing that they like, what they don't like, and so on, so you can
Right.
make a better decision. So
Yeah. It's not an easy industry, but what is?
nothing is really
There.
easy, right?
Yeah, unless you're digging ditches, and I can't even say that's easy. Because if everybody goes to school for digging ditches, hey, there's going to be oversaturated too, right? So
It could
blowing
be, but
balloons,
the
I
thing
don't
is,
know.
the one thing that I want to say on that regard, Colette, is don't be afraid. Like if you do really want to become a realtor or do you want to become a financial advisor, don't look at how many hundreds of them there are out there. It doesn't matter. What is it that you want to do? If you are set apart, you will always have a client. And I'm
But
telling you
it's the
that because
passion.
there is
Yeah.
enough clients for everybody.
Well, I want to say you have to really ultimately, at the end of the day, when you lay your head on your pillow, is do you really have a passion for what you're doing? Do you love what you do? Do you want to
Mhm.
wake up the next day and do that again and again and again? And every client is going to give you challenges. Every
Yep.
client is going to give you, it's not going to be an easy deal. Every deal is not like, okay, write the paper and then,
Yeah, that's
sit
right.
back and do
Easy.
nothing. It's not like that at all. Like there is a lot of background stuff that people don't going into the industry. I remember what it was like. It wasn't that long ago that I
Yeah.
remember what it was like to go through schooling and then to say, okay, here I am, and I phoned my dad and I said, hey, I got my license. And he said, okay, great. Bye. I don't care. What does that mean to me?
Yeah.
So it's this thing where you think everybody's excited for you, but a lot of people are like, okay, have a nice day. Because I already know 6 agents. I already know how many financial advisors. I
Yeah.
already know 7 plumbers. What makes you apart? What is it that you can give me, even as a new agent? Somebody coming in and saying, I'm a new
Yeah.
agent. Why would I hire you? I'm going to hire somebody who has 10, 20 years experience.
Mhm.
That was the biggest, hardest thing for me when I started too.
Yeah.
But I can answer that. So if you're interested in that answer, you have to phone me.
That's right. Call Colette.
Yes.
So that's great. Well, I hope this helped you. These are some of the questions that we get, and we wanted to highlight it because being a realtor, a financial advisor, is very, very similar business-wise, even though we do different things. But the dynamics of becoming one is very,
Right.
very similar. So I hope
We're
that
here to
helped
help you.
Yeah.
That's
And
what it
if
is.
you have any other question, just give us a ring, send us a
Yeah.
message, connect, whatever you like to do, but we appreciate you. And we're here to give you kind of like the tidbits that, we're always asked for. So thank you, Colette, for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And,
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
yeah, and we will see you next week with more about real estate investing and finances.
Yay.
We'll see you, Colette. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, Araceli.